Well, hi everyone. I guess as you know, I'm Bruce Telfian, and my remarks are probably going to be material most of you already know, but I'm kind of a history buff, and I wanted to set the historical framework that basically surrounded my mother's life. So it's, I guess, founded in the years when the Ottoman Empire was crumbling, not fast enough to save 1 million plus Armenians, but the crumbling led to a series of massacres of Armenians. Most commonly, the date of April 24th, 1915 is viewed as when all the slaughter and killing began, but actually there had been massacres going back in time into the mid-19th century, but significantly for my mom, the Hamidian massacres of 1884 through 1886 were crucial, I guess 1894 through 96, because those massacres led to both her parents being orphaned early in their lives. I think my grandmother Zaro, he was from Bursa, which is about 40 miles south of Istanbul, and my grandfather Haig was from Merzivan, which is midway between Istanbul and Ankara. So they were both orphaned at a young age and grew up in orphanages, and somehow as World War I broke out, somehow, I don't know the history, but somehow they were rescued and made their way to New York City. And I don't know if they were married before coming over or if married here. Okay. And I need help. And Lael's already recounted their really astounding lives. But they gave birth to their first child, Edward, I think in 1918. 1920. And then my mom was born October 21st, 1921. I was pretty old when I learned from my mom that she spoke only Armenian, not a word of English, until she started kindergarten. And my amazing mom went through the New York City schools and then ended up in Pasadena, California with her first cousin Doris for high school. She graduated 2 years early and was through 2 years of college when she met my amazing dad, and they were married in 1940, June 16th. Tomorrow would have been their 79th wedding anniversary. My dad was a med student at the University of Chicago, so they lived in Chicago, and her brother Edward was in Naval Officer Training School at the Great Lakes Naval Training Center. So they were together on Pearl Harbor Day, and I remember several times my mom told me when they heard the devastating news on the radio, she looked at her husband and her brother and she said to herself, I know I'm going to lose one of these men. And of course her brother was killed, as you read in the obituary, on September 11th, 1943, off the Salerno beachhead. So I guess that brings a connection to me. I learned fairly early in life that my birth on September 10th, 1948, at 11:35 p.m. was eagerly being urged on so that I wouldn't be born on the date of his tragic passing, her brother's tragic passing. And in truth, her parents, my grandma Mazarhi and Grandpa Haig, and my mom, I think, mourned the loss of her wonderful brother Ed for the rest of their days. I guess there's the historical portion for the setting past, but I guess just a few memories of my mom and me that I think might be worthwhile. My mom was a pretty strict mother for me, and that, I think, really is a blessing for me. She wouldn't tolerate poor academic performance, which I regularly succeeded in achieving. So the success I've achieved in life, if you can call it success, is really due to my mother pushing me forward. I remember my senior year in high school, I was probably a little bit slow with college applications, and somehow she got in her mind that a certain day, I don't know if it was March 15th or whatever, was the deadline to get college applications in. I was kept home from school that day to do college applications.
Instead of looking at the weather.
So around 1960, I got this fervent interest in meteorology, and both my parents were really encouraging in that. I started getting these daily weather maps and developed a collection of over 2,000 of them. But I was spending too much time looking at the weather maps and not doing my homework, and Mom took them away. And then I think she went to see my science teacher, and he said, no, let him keep looking at them. So I got them back. Shifting gears, I really owe Mom a great deal in terms of my involvement in church life and in singing. I've had so many delightful years singing in church choirs. And, you know, Mom got me started on that path. Also, at a critical time in my life, I was heading out, and we were in a music store, and I had a new car, and I needed, I think they were cassette tapes back then. I said, what should I buy? She said, well, get that. It's Mozart. Anything Mozart will be good. That was good advice. It was the 39th and 41st Symphonies, and I think that really got me on a track where even today I just love classical music. I've talked too long, but I owe so much to Mom. I think an ability to be forgiving in life is a trait I picked up from her, and hopefully I live up to the great values and lifestyle that she instilled in me. So thank you for hearing me out, and now I think my sister, my wife, Connie, and you know, I'm really a blessed guy. I have both my first wife, Linda, and my second wife, Connie, here today. Not too many guys are that lucky. So, thank you.
Look at me, I'm just here by myself.
Good afternoon. I'm Connie Telfian, and as Bruce said, I am his second wife. But it's been a fun time being married to him and being part of the Telfian family. Next month, on July 10th, 2019, Bruce and I will have been married 20 years. I bring that up because the entire Telfian family of Sarkis and Alita's children, grandchildren, came to our wedding, and we had such a wonderful time. It was a blessing. My family, who I saw every day, kind of took a back seat and let us enjoy the Telfians and their exuberance and their happiness that they shared with us over our marriage. And the next day after our wedding, everyone came to our house, which was filled with boxes we hadn't unpacked yet, and opened presents, and everyone got to see the gifts we got. And when that was done and we had eaten, Alita kind of motioned me into the kitchen. And I walked into the kitchen, and I had known her for 3 years now, and we had become pretty good friends. And so she felt comfortable saying this to me. When is your honeymoon? I hear you're going on a cruise. I said, yes, we're going on a cruise sometime in September or October, but we haven't set it yet. I was too busy planning the wedding and moving into the house. She said, I think it would be a grand time for a family reunion. And I said, but Alita, it's our honeymoon. And she said, that's okay. You're not going to be the only ones on those big ships. There'll be thousands of people there, and we'll just be part of those thousands. And again, all I could say was, but it's our honeymoon. And finally I said, I will talk to Bruce. And so everyone went home, and things started getting unpacked, and we began to get back to normal. And I said to Bruce a few evenings later, did you know that your mother wanted to have a family reunion during our honeymoon? And he goes, no, my mother would not say that. You misunderstood.